And then you both started on the agency side. As you talked about, Cecil, agency life is can be a grind for some, but you've both had great careers starting off on the agency side. So, from your perspective, what is the benefit of starting your career with one of the large media or advertising agencies?
Yeah, I mean, like, you really cut your teeth, like, learning so much, especially at a larger agency where you're working on clients that have very complex structures and teams and stakeholders that you need to manage. So, um, for me, I think that kind of exposure was really good because it's going to be a matter of personal preference, but I do feel like I thrive more in like larger companies just because um, it's nice knowing that you kind of have access to all these different resources to be able to do your job well. Not to say that smaller shops don't, but like it is tough and you have to wear a lot of different hats versus like, when you're at a larger company, you know exactly what you're responsible for. And like, if you're an expert in this, like that's what you're going to do. And you're not expected to sort of like jump into something that you might not be comfortable with or like be an expert in. Um, so, I really learned a lot about just like corporate structures that was really helpful when I moved over to the sales side. Just seeing like, okay, who are the key decision makers that you need to reach? Like, is this really important? Like maybe not. And so just kind of like managing those kinds of things as well was really great. And to be able to learn, again, it was such a grind. But it was something that you also like, you just kind of go through that and then you have your buddies who also went through that at the same time and you can sort of like reminisce together like years after. But it was an important sort of like very formulative time, I think, for my career.
Yeah, I mean, the agency side, I learned a ton. Like that's where, like that, yeah, that's kind of where you earn your stripes, in my opinion. Like it's not one of those things where it's like, oh, these kids aren't, like taking the time to, kind of go through the ringer and all that stuff. It's like, no, I don't have that kind of view, but I do feel that that's where I learned, how to do my job, how like even the job that I'm doing now, it's all rooted in the things that I was doing on the agency side. I wouldn't be a process owner for paid media if I didn't know how the paid media process worked. And it's not just a single agency's process. It's just there are certain processes that are universal, like media planning is at the end of the day media planning. And the things that I learned at the agency side, so digital media, digital planning, strategy, and buying, those are all things that have carried over to every single job I've had. So even the second job I had after Media Best was another agency that helped. I learned a different skill there, which was global governance. That is not something I learned at my first job, and that also helps with my current job. So I think the benefit to like starting on the agency side, and I don't know if I'm jumping the gun here, but like a lot of on the client side, a lot of companies who do hire or are looking for like media specialists, like they're looking for people that have agency experience, because the thing that I learned when I went to IBM is that there are certain things that we had that are standard on the agency side, like things like media tools, like planning tools, that just didn't exist. Some of these processes just didn't exist. And it's like, how do you guys even, what if you got audited? Like, what would happen to all these things? And so it's that kind of knowledge and that kind of experience is super valuable for an advertiser on their side. So like, that's why my team is made up mostly of ex-agency people. Like they value that experience. And so, yeah, I definitely think that agencies, there's benefits to learning on the agency side for sure.